Hello, this is Tom Clark, otherwise known as Tom TARDIS, or the Prisoner of Bangkok. I'm here to talk about the Myanmar situation. The Myanmar situation began way back in 1988. In 1988, the military took over the governments, and off and on for the last 20 or 30 years, it's been ruling the country. 1988, it was known as Burma. The military government changed the name to Myanmar. The reason they changed the name is that supposedly, at least according to them, Myanmar is the biggest ethnic group in Burma. So they named the country supposedly after the biggest ethnic group. I don't know for sure. Only the military government says this, no one else. In fact, during George Bush the son administration, George A.W. Bush the son, his policy was that the U.S. government would call the country Burma. No matter what they said, they would call it Burma. And mostly the media too, even in Thailand, called it Burma. But now in 2021, everybody calls it Myanmar. Because I guess they have to. I have to say I don't know what the nationality name is. As far as I know, it's still Burmese. There is no Myanmarese, whatever. As far as I know, it's Burmese. So back to the governments. So in the late 2000s, early 2010s, the military government sort of would do a compromise. They would allow a parliament of sorts. They would control most of it, and they would allow the opposition, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, to be the head of the opposition, and she'd be called something like a counselor, and she would basically help to run the country, the military. She did get some flack because she seemed to support the military killing the Rohingya. The Burmese government hates the Rohingya. Forgive me, I'm mispronouncing it. Actually, most Asian countries seem to hate them for some reason. They're Muslim, and for some reason, they're just hated by everybody. But some people hate her for Aung San Suu Kyi, for backing the government. But what choice does she have? What choice did she have? She is the government with them, so she basically has to do what they say. And she may have a hatred for the Rohingya too, because Rohingya, it's spelled Rohinja or something like that. Forgive me for mispronouncing it. They're hated by everybody. I have no hatred for them. I don't even know who they are. They came to a compromise, and the compromise seemed to exist until last year, when, like the United States, there was an election. San Suu Kyi's party won in a landslide. Military government, like Trump, said the election results, they're bad. We don't like them. There's something wrong with them. They must have cheated or something. There must be something really wrong with them. So on February 1st, they took over the governments, arrested most of the opposition figures, included San Suu Kyi, and I don't know where she is with opposition figures. They're just under arrest somewhere. Since February 1st, the Myanmar people have been protesting off and on pretty much every day. Apparently on Saturday, which in Burma is the Armed Forces Day, the Burmese military apparently just had it. They just went crazy. They started killing protesters on the streets. They've been killing people in their homes. They've been killing children, teenagers. Who knows why? I mean, why are they killing kids? That's just wrong. It's against most conventions of human rights. I assume it's against the Geneva Convention of Human Rights to kill kids for no reason, especially if they're armed, if they're not armed. Also, so this weekend they've just gone nuts. They just a month or two of protests seem to have driven the government just completely crazy. They just had it. So they're just pretty much killing anybody they think is opposition, adults or kids. And my government, the American government, should do something. Sanctions. Those sanctions against this government never seem to work. Um, for most of the military government's reign, they've been in isolation. Um, Mainly, they're supported by the Chinese for some reason. They share a port with China. For some reason, the Chinese government loves them. Um, Unofficially, if I want to be a conspiracy theorist, I think it's drug running. Because there's no foreign, basically, for most of the existence, the military government has had no foreign trade. Some tourism, not a lot. They can't be making, they don't seem to have support of their own people because the military has been killing them a lot. Why would they give them money? But I guess they have no choice with taxes. But they certainly don't have the emotional support of the people. The military government seems to be killing one ethnic group or other in Burma that they don't approve of. Like this weekend, they also attacked the Karen, a hill tribe from Thailand, because they took over some military installation near the border in Thailand, near the Thailand border. Um, the Burmese military, or Myanmar military, had a very busy weekend and killed a lot of people on around March 26th or about March 24th or 25th this year. Thai military just went crazy. I also want to make clear the Burmese military has no ideology. They're not communist. They're not Marxist. They just want power. They just like ruling Myanmar, even though nobody likes them. The world doesn't like them. Their own people don't like them. Okay, the Chinese may like them for some reason. There are important minerals in Burma. If the Burmese military actually got their act together, they actually could make some money with the minerals in their country. I guess they allow the Chinese to get them, so at least they can get some money from somewhere. But mostly the Burmese military are just evil. They're just a bunch of power-hungry people who want to stay in power no matter what. They tried the democratic routes, or at least sort of a compromised democratic route, and that didn't work out for them because it didn't give them enough power. They just love being dictators and love making money alone. They don't want to share with anybody. I should also, I forgot to say that Aung San Suu Kyi did get a Nobel Peace Prize for leading the opposition in the 90s or 2000s. Good for her. But right now, the Burmese government, the military governments, the Burmese military are not good for anybody. I definitely would not recommend your next visit to be to Myanmar. I would stay out of there. Certainly not now. I certainly ask your U.S. Embassy if you should go to Burma or not. And I think they'd probably say no. I would not recommend that. So to me, from me, this is the Myanmar situation. I hope you got educated in some way. Thanks for your time. Be safe. Be good. Have a good life.